So here I am sitting in the doctor's office and I'm like, what can I do? And he says, I'll give you 3 months. But if you can't fix it in 3 months, we're going to have to do something. So I went home, talked to my son on the way home, found out what he was doing, came home, cleaned out all the stuff that I shouldn't eat, started eating stuff that I should eat, which basically was without me realizing what I was doing. I basically went gluten-free, sugar-free, a little bit more fats, and I didn't have a name for it. I just knew that's what I was going to do. And that's where I started. And within 3 or 4 days, all my joint pains had gone. I had a lot of joint pain at that point too. My knees were killing me all the time. But just in a matter of days, just from getting rid of the gluten and the sugar and eating a little healthier, just that little bit changed my knees and my joints significantly. There was still pain, but it was so much better just from a little bit of that. Over the next few weeks, without even realizing it, I basically went keto. And then I figured it out. I started figuring out all the pieces. So I went very hard, strict keto, well under 20 grams. And I never really liked vegetables anyway, so it didn't take very long before all of a sudden the vegetables started disappearing from my diet. And that kept going for a while. I did that for 9 months approximately, but I, over that time, just ate less and less vegetables, more and more eggs, and more meat. I think about that time, about that 9-month mark, 8-month mark or so was when I heard the first time I'd heard about the carnivore diet. And I think that January you did one of your carnivore challenges, and I did that month. And that was the first time I officially said, hey, I'm a carnivore. And I did that, and things got even better. I was amazed how much better they got. In total, I lost 85 pounds. I went from when I started, I was around the 265 range or so, 260, 265. I don't remember the exact number, but I got down in the 170s, which for me was way too thin. But I was eating OMAD at the time. I did a lot of OMAD and I didn't do a lot of long fasting, but I did a lot of OMAD. But I wasn't getting enough food. I could not eat that much food in one meal to really keep my weight stable. So finally, at about 170 pounds, I was getting cold all the time. I was freezing. And I told my wife that I had to start eating more food because my metabolism was just dying. So I went to 4 meals a day, right? Over time, I upped it to 3 to 4 meals a day. And I do better with slightly smaller meals. I can't process that much food. And I'm back up to 180, 183, 184, feeling incredible. My body fat runs around 10%, which I don't even have to try to stay lean. If I just eat my regular foods, my meat, and stay away from the junk, which I don't have a problem with. I have no desire to eat junk anymore. I used to. I couldn't be in a room with chocolate without swallowing it whole, but there's just no desire anymore. I can be around chocolate, all that kind of junk, and I just don't have any desire. We go to my kid's house. My daughter-in-law, she loves to cook keto treats. She just cooks these things like crazy. And I'll grab one once in a while when I'm there, but I just don't have the desire. It's pretty wild what's happened and the change in my taste and how I like what I eat and what I like to eat. But now today, I'm clear from cancer. I've been 6 years almost. It'll be 6 years this November on my birthday. Cancer-free. And then I've been all this time, my weight's been pretty stable for the last 3 years plus of more than carnivore. And that's my story. It's been quite a turnaround. I feel incredible. I feel young again. I don't feel old. I tell my kids I don't feel 65. I'm deadlifting almost to hit 400 pounds on my trap bar deadlift finally. I'm getting close. I'm working on it really hard. I haven't put rack pulls back in, by the way. I'm thinking about putting them back in. I've done them before. And I need to do them again because I've got to do something to keep this deadlift moving because I'm up about 365 right now and multiple. That's for reps. That's not for one. But I just got to do some extra work there. I love to lift 6 days a week. Guys in the gym think I'm a nut, but I just enjoy it.
That's quite a story for sure. Thanks for sharing that, Rick. So just a couple things. So you start out meat and potatoes, but then chocolate and sweets, which is so easy to do, particularly if it's available. Kids are always going to gravitate towards that stuff if it's there. I'm curious because you said you got down to 10% body fat at a time eating a high-carb diet, and you were able to do that. Why weren't you able to do that again? Because it's something like some people say you can lose weight anyway, but why do you think it didn't stay, or why do you think you didn't pursue that route a second time?
I can explain that, I think. I think I could have done it again. There's no question in my mind I could have done it again, but that is really hard. It's maybe for some people it's not hard, but that constant hunger, that drive to eat. When you're eating carbs, you eat a meal and 2 hours later, you're just starving for more. You can never get enough. And so I was always hungry. And even that time when I did do it, I had to do so much activity just to keep pace with the amount of food that I was driven to eat by my hunger. And I just couldn't never get full. And I wasn't trying to be full. I was trying to lose weight. But when you're in that mode of thinking and your mind is about those carbs, if I didn't eat every 2 to 3 hours, my head would hurt. I'd get these splitting headaches. I passed out a couple of times. I just got so lightheaded and hypoglycemic that I just fell over. And it's just hard. I would never want to do that again. It was successful, but I wouldn't call it successful. It was very difficult. And I didn't feel good. When I got down, even in those body fat ranges, I felt terrible. I really felt bad. I don't feel bad now. I feel really good, in fact. But back then, when I was hanging down under 10, when I get down, I don't know what I really got down to because nobody could give an accurate measurement. But I didn't feel good. I felt terrible.
Yeah, fair enough. If it, like I said, you can just white knuckle it through and starve yourself and not eat, and you can only do that for so long, but it's certainly not sustainable over the long term. So it's interesting to contrast because now you're in, I assume now because you're obviously leaner now and you're back in the gym and you've lost all that body weight. And this time around, how does it differ for you with regard to hunger and things like that?
I don't have the hunger. That's the first thing. It's very different. I could eat once a day and be very satisfied. In fact, I find that I know I need to eat. I know I need to get up in that 3,000 plus calorie area just to keep my weight stable. If I eat less than that, if I try to eat once a day, which I could do, there's days I just don't feel hungry. I could go a long time without eating because I'm just not hungry sometimes. But it's amazing the difference. There's just not that drive and want to eat. I just feel satisfied all the time. And it's quite a difference, a very big difference. And I don't get the headaches. Going without eating is just not a big deal because I just don't get the headaches. I don't have that stomach churn. That's just not there.
Yeah, just a couple things in your story that stuck out to me. One, you said obviously you had surgery for your prostate cancer and you had the prostate removed. And you said the gout was worse than surgery for prostate cancer, which for people that haven't had gout, just to put how painful that can be. And there's a lot of people that still ask me today, hey, what about gout and eating a lot of meat? Isn't it going to drive me to have gout? And what I have seen is that when people become metabolically healthy, the gout seems not to be an issue, despite the fact that you're eating more red meat and more quote unquote purine-rich foods. But have you had any issues with gout since going meat-based?
No. For a little while, I had some toe pain, some joint, a little bit of leftover damage, probably from the high sugar and the neuropathy and things like that in the feet and the ankles. That went away for the most part. Every so often, I'll still get a little bit of a neuropathy type feeling here and there. But for the most part, 99% of the time, it's gone. And the gout stuff all went away, which is really funny because I got that same story. People tell me I was not going to be able to eat all this meat. I eat a lot of sardines. There's no way you can do this. My dad had to stop eating sardines because of gout. And he had so much problem with gout. And he changed his diet dramatically just to avoid the gout. And my gout went away, but it didn't go away because of that. It went away because I got rid of all the other junk, the carbs and the stuff like that. And the doctor was amazed. My uric acid levels are really low nowadays. I check them every so often just because I'm curious. They went from 13 or whatever the number was down to now they're 5.6 or something. And I'm eating meat and sardines and I'm just all that stuff.
Yeah, I actually had the advantage of having a home uric acid monitor, and I checked them several times. Mine's always around 4 to 5, something like that. It's well within normal range. And I calculate that the average American eats about 50, and this is true, the average American eats about 56 pounds of red meat a year, beef, and I eat closer to 1,000 pounds, and I'm not exaggerating. I literally eat about 1,000 pounds of red meat a year and don't even have any signs of gout at all. My uric acid level is typically normal. So it's interesting to see. So along this, you'd mentioned there was one doctor you said that gave you some decent advice regarding nutrition.
Yeah.
Because you had a lot of, obviously, with the blood pressure crisis, with the prostate surgery. How often did you get advice about diet during this whole health journey from health professionals?
The only doctor or anybody that ever tried as far as professional health was that particular specialist. He was a neurologist. He was the only guy that ever did. My doctor, he would give me this sheet of paper. Probably a lot of people here have had that. You go in the doctor's office. He says you probably need to lose a little weight. And it gives you a piece of paper that tells you how to eat the Mediterranean diet. That was the number one thing I got. I got that probably 4 or 5 times in my lifetime. They would give you the Mediterranean diet for anything that was going wrong. And I learned to ignore the doctor. He's the same doctor that told me I shouldn't be squatting anymore. I learned where to find advice.